You're listening to the Chain Clankers podcast with your hosts, Quentin Ferris and Horatio Gonzalez. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chain Clankers. Welcome in, everyone, to the Chain Clankers podcast. I'm your host, Q. We got a great episode for you guys today. Oh, man, Horatio, it has been a scorcher outside, and today we're going to be discussing some things that we don't want in disc golf anymore. Maybe some changes we want to come to disc golf, and it's going to be a really fun show. These are all your guys' responses. If you want to be a part of this in the future, make sure you're watching our Instagram stories. I put out a little question on there today on Sunday that said, what is one thing you wish was in disc golf that currently isn't? And so, yeah, we're going to be talking about your guys' responses today, giving our feedback on them, and if we agree with you guys or not. I think this is going to be a ton of fun. We haven't done something like this before, and I just thought it would be a little fun idea here. But let's go ahead. Let's bring in our co-host today. Let's bring Horatio in. Horatio, how are we doing today, man?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk over this stuff with you. Definitely some topics on there that, I haven't really put much thought to myself, and I'm glad people are kind of thinking about that stuff. So it'll be fun to see what your guys' thoughts are on these. Let us know in the reviews or in the comments what you think about these subjects and what you think disc golf or these rules going forward, if it's possible or if it should just be left alone.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's one of those things where throughout time, you always have to constantly be improving and getting better. And so I think that we can apply that to the game as well and continue to evolve the game and continue to put it in a better direction, because if you stay the same, you're unable to get better. Everything has to change. So I think this is going to be really fun. Have you been able to play any disc golf this week?
Up until I came out of town, I've been playing every day. I'm out of town for some work stuff right now, and it was just too busy to bring my bag. I thought about bringing my bag. There's definitely lots of courses here in Wisconsin where I'm at, but I just didn't have access to a car. We have one rental car for all four of us, so I just didn't want to deal with it. But as soon as I get back, I'll be back to it. I really don't mind playing in the heat, especially the course. I play Oak quite a bit, and then I might start playing Colwich some more possibly. But Oak is it's pretty shady, As long as you don't mind the heat and you have a good a sack to keep your fingers dry, that's definitely important right now. But yeah, I'm still playing. I don't slow down much in the summer. What about you?
I have my complaints, and I'll say it officially here on today's podcast. I'm a winter disc golfer. All right, I am a seasonal disc golfer, and that season is the winter by far. So really, like the heat, I don't care so much about the heat, and we can have a full episode on this sometime, but the heat is not something that I really care about. It's the life sucking that I care about. That is just so bad. But really, the bad part is these damn skeeters everywhere, just absolutely tearing me up. If those weren't there, I could put up with the heat so much more. But it's so bad. In Manhattan, it was not near as bad as it is out here in Wichita. So you just constantly getting eaten up by these skeeters. There's stickers everywhere. Hate that. Maybe I'm just, used to having it good, I guess. And now I have a taste of something different and I don't quite like it. But yeah, just not a big fan of those. But that will not stop the slinging. Today I went out and played a 18 by myself and just trying to work on some things. And I continue to agree that mids are trash. You can continue to fight me on that, but there is no purpose for mid-range discs. You can do everything you want to with a putter, or you can just disc up. And it's easier, less wear and tear on your body. But I'll save that for the comment section. You guys can continue to roast me if you want. I enjoy reading those roasts. It gives me great laughs. But yeah, so, been doing that and just trying to putt as much as I can in the backyard. I think that's something that, you constantly want to continue to work on. The more putting you do, hopefully the more it will translate to the actual course. We got a couple of tournaments coming up. I know I'm going to be playing one here July 4th weekend. I don't know if you're going to be playing that one or not. Hopefully. We're sponsoring it, so maybe. Who knows? But I guess that's enough jibber jabber on my part. I can go all day before we actually get into the meat and potatoes. We just had our bread, and it's time for the entrees. to come out. All right. So, like I said today at the beginning of the episode, we're going to be talking about one thing that you wish was in disc golf that currently isn't, or a change to disc golf, something like that. We got some awesome responses, and so I want to go through and I want to talk about them. And so the first response we got, and this one I think is going to be pretty controversial, actually. The response is circle one goes away. Only jump putts are from outside of circle two. We got another one later that said circle one should be 45 feet, no jump putts inside of 45. Horatio, what are your thoughts on the circle and should it be extended, jump putts, those kinds of things? Do you agree with these?
So I will say that those both of those came from pro level players. So where I could definitely see something like it mattering there. But for us, AMs and rec, you can put the circle at 15 feet if you wanted to. It doesn't matter. Um, People at the pro level are much better at putting. So for circle one, for us, it doesn't matter as much. Most people aren't great of putters. If they were great putters, they would be playing in higher divisions. So even if there is a circle or no circle, people are going to be missing the putts regardless of their skill. So if you got rid of the circle one, people are still going to be missing from inside that range. Or, I mean, they'll figure out a way, um, I guess, from circle two to be able to putt however they need. I guess just not being, if someone, because I know some people that don't even step putt or jump putt outside of circle one. Like it can be like up to like 60, 70 feet before they start jump putting. A lot of players, like pros, definitely, they don't jump up from outside of 30. It's not until like they get really high up there that they start jump putting. So I don't know how much that would matter and how much that would help or benefit people, I guess.
My first rebuttal is going to be the likes of Chris Dickerson and James Conrad. I think they're two incredible examples of why step putting slash jump putting is important. And I agree with the circle one should stay the same and that you should I don't think that it should be outside circle two when you're able to do that. I understand a little bit of the argument of like, hey, you're a pro level disc golfer. Like if you're outside 33 feet, like even the second one, 45 feet, if you're within 45 feet, you probably should be able to make it standing still. And of course, if it was changed back, then those who are truly great at the game will just adjust.
Right.
But I love it. Like honestly, I love the step putt. I've been watching a lot of Chris Dickerson and James Conrad recently, and I'm almost trying to emulate my step putt from Chris Dickerson. And like, I'll tell you what, I would rather be at 35 than 25 any day of the week. Because from 35, I've got so much more confidence that I can make it than from 25 because I know that I can put more into my shot and falling forward is okay. And I'm like able to just I feel like more of a laser on my putt than I am from 25. I feel like it's something that I can calculate significantly easier from that range. And so for that reason, I would rather, when I'm doing an approach, I want to either be like 15 or in, or I want to be at 35. I don't want to be 20 to 32. I don't like being in that range because I know that's a range where I should make the putt. But if I was just a couple feet back, I know I have a higher likelihood of making the putt.
Yeah. I know one thing I'll say is that I feel like step putting is definitely, it's like one of those tools for people that definitely have honed it in and have almost perfected it. But for some people, it's like just an extra thing to mess up in their routine and their putting. And they do it because they think it's going to help them make that putt easier. But I feel like sometimes really it messes up even more because they're adding extra body movements. They're adding another step they have to focus on. And typically they end up just missing more than they typically would. Because I would say that, Chris Dickerson, he's a step putter. And like you said, James Conrad, and they are great putters. But I feel like at that top level, the best putters in the world, I'm talking like top five best putters, they don't step putt. They are straight from the hip. I'm talking like Eagle
I would
McMahon,
say Chris
Adam
Dickerson's a top five
Hammes.
putter. Get out of
Uh,
here. Yeah, Chris Dickerson's easily a top five putter in my opinion. I'll give you my top five right now. It's right now. It's Richard Wysocki, Eagle
Richard.
McMahon. I'm gonna say Chris Dickerson third, Paul McBeth fourth, and then I'm going to go with for five. Give me Calvin Heimberg.
What about Adam Hammes?
Not in the
Adam
top
Hammes
five.
is one of the best putters in the world. One of
I
the when his putter is on, he does not miss. Like from outside, like 40, 50. Like he's like Heimberg. Like Heimberg. So my top five, I guess, would be Ricky Wysocki, not in any order. Ricky Wysocki, Paul McBeth, Calvin Heimberg, Adam Hammes, and Eagle McMahon.
so our only difference is Hamas and Chris Dickerson.
Yeah, I guess. But like, and even if you take out Dickerson, none of the other ones that you said are step putters.
I mean, yeah, I'm saying not everyone's going to be a step putter, but I just think that Chris Dickerson is so lethal with it that he has to be in the top five. It's an
Right.
advantage.
He's perfected it, and that's what I'm talking about. He has perfected that step putt. And I feel like a lot of people see him kind of doing it, or people are like, oh, it helps him, so it's going to help me kind of thing. And it does help you get that extra momentum. But if you don't perfect it, I feel like it hurts you more than it helps you.
Two other names I'm going to add to the list. I'm not saying they're in the top five, but Nico LaCastro and Ezra Ederhold, both pretty decent to good step putters, and they are also pretty decent to good at putting, I would say. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is my girlfriend is literally exactly what you're saying, where it doesn't want to add an extra step because that's too much going on. That's cool. Don't do it then. But that doesn't mean you should take away someone else's ability to work on their step putt, make it really good, and then be like, sorry, you can only do it when you're outside of like 66 feet. So like, or even like, I think a better argument would be the circle one is pushed back to 45 feet instead of eliminating step slash jump putting from circle two. Because like I can see more momentum for the 45 foot because it's like, all right, that's kind of a pretty good range, I'd say. From there, yeah, if you're an AM, like you kind of, I'm not going to say need, but at least in my opinion, when you're at 45 and you can like take that momentum towards the basket and you're an AM, I think you're going to make more putts than you're going to miss, or it's going to go higher than just trying to stand there. Some people are good at standing there. That's fine. But I can get behind more that 45 foot than eliminating the ability to do it inside circle two. I really like it. I'm a big fan of it. And I think that if you work on it, just like anything, that's like saying I don't have a good forehand, so we can no longer throw forehands off the tee. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, but it's not even like that. I think it's a little bit like I'm saying, it's just a lot of people that do it, and not you specifically, or just anyone. I think part of it is they think they're getting a hack. They think
Mm-hmm.
that they're like kind of hacking the game or like getting an extra advantage. They're like mentally telling themselves that step putting, they're getting an advantage because they're getting that. And you're not, you have to release the disc before you can step. So you're not really getting that extra distance. But I think mentally in people's heads, they think they're getting that extra,
Mm-hmm.
four, like 3, 4 foot or however big your stride is. Like Nicola Castro, he will like stretch his out and get as much as possible. There is a bit, like a lot of his that are like borderline foot faults
Probably are foot
because
faults.
he stretches it out as much. And I feel like a lot of people do that because they're wanting to get, they think that if they can step putt, they can get that closer to the basket and have a better chance at missing.
Mm-hmm.
And not because it helps them putt better, but because it, to them, it feels like they're getting closer to the basket. It's putting them closer.
Yeah. Two things, I guess I'll wrap it up here with the step putt is that I think the ability to fall forward is really good because you can like put extra power and momentum into it and you don't have to worry about foot falling by falling forward. Because inside the, if you're new to the game, if you're inside the circle, you cannot have your feet like go past your lie until the disc comes to rest or hits something. Um, so that's why people in Circle 2 right now, they'll step putt because they're able to go past their lie. I mean, the disc has to be released in the air before their foot hits the ground. So, for example, my left foot would be going forward, but before it hits the ground, the disc has to be out of the air. I like that because I can get more momentum in the right direction. So I think it's just one of those things where I understand your hack, and that I think people might look at it the wrong way, but if you just work on it, just like anything else in the game, I think that it can become a pretty powerful weapon, especially for guys who don't have super high putt range.
Yeah, no, I definitely think, but then I guess it's kind of like, you know what? Some of those people wouldn't mind having the circle be moved to 25 feet or 30 feet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so like I don't think it needs to go forward at all. Like I don't think the circle needs to be brought in. I think it's good where it is. I can get behind the push the circle back to 45 feet, and then it's really a challenge. But I don't agree with the no jump step putts inside circle 2. But let's move on after that. The next one we have here, this seems pretty fun to me. Pro doubles matches or some way of like team scoring. Not they say not on the tour for points, but just in a few events. So like some like in tennis, right? Tennis does singles and doubles. I think that would be pretty cool at like A tiers or pro tours or whatever. Doesn't matter. I think it would be pretty cool if there was an option to do a singles tournament and a doubles tournament. Maybe some guys and gals would want to do both. I think that would bring a lot of fun to the game, and it just gives people more opportunity to put content out for people to watch, and maybe more opportunity for people to win money because you would have to sign up your entry fee for the singles and for the doubles. So I mean, let's say you poop in your pants on the singles, but then in doubles you end up taking it home. Even if you didn't cash in singles, you won the thing in doubles, so you still are taking some money home. I think that would be pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun. I definitely agree with there's a time and place, and it doesn't need to be like on the pro tour or on the national tour. I think the where they did the All Star weekend, like that was a lot of fun. Like just watching like some of your favorite players, because we've talked about this before, and these guys are pretty much like teams. Like there are teams that people root for, like your Team Calvin, your Team Eagle. Like Eagle has a ton of fans. There's a lot of like Paul McBath fans, like and they're rooting for teams. So when they do like the All Star Weekend and they do doubles, it's like two teams that normally would never play together. Like if you have, because I have like I'm a fan of a ton of them. Like it's hard to root for like one guy at a tournament. So when they do the doubles, it's cool because like two people that you root for get to play together or like take on two other guys you root for. So yeah, I think that would bring a lot more, even people that maybe don't play it as much, just to watch, just for fun.
Have you ever played in a doubles event? Not like league night doubles, but like a doubles tournament?
No, I haven't done one, but I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah, we
It's
should definitely
random
do one
doubles.
sometime and
Yeah.
take all that coin from everyone else.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool. I don't know. I think like anything to kind of spice it up and add something more for the fans to watch. And not everyone's gonna like it. Not everyone's going to want to do it. But those who do, I think they're gonna have a great time. And disc golf's about having fun. And if we do it in league nights and we're willing to do it for an exhibition, I'm not saying every tournament has to have it, but maybe a couple of tournaments here and there have it. Maybe a couple, at the beginning and then maybe some at the end, something like that. I think that would be pretty cool.
I know
The next one,
GK Pro does some stuff like every once in a while.
yeah.
They'll do doubles. Yeah.
Next one we got here, they say that they think the PDGA should allow for video review or video challenges, but players get 1 to 2 per round. This would be so hard to implement,
Yeah.
and like I don't know how feasible it is.
No, I don't remember. I don't remember who we interviewed, but I didn't know. Um, but they said that you have to take an exam to play on the national tour, because technically everyone that plays on the pro tour or that tours is technically a ref. So I know they said it's like, well, you don't want the people being their own refs, but I mean, you make everybody take a test, and everyone's going to be, ethical. So I don't think you need an extra like controversial, like, oh, what, like, go to the video, or every time you think someone does something, like, go to the video, and it's like another distraction, another thing to take up time during a match.
Yeah, I guess it would be kind of hard to feasibly do it for every single card. Um, but hear me out on this. This is going to be long, but hear me out, right? Let's say, like in golf, ball golf, they've got a camera on every hole, right? So let's say the Pro Tour gets to a point where they have a camera on every single hole and they're following whatever card is going by, and, maybe they're not on coverage, but they're still recording or whatever, okay? Let's say that every player gets one video challenge of a round. Okay. I don't think that would be the absolute worst idea in the world. Let's say you see someone foot fault on a 30-foot putt, but the other guys were not, or gals were not paying attention, or they didn't see it, but you did see it, and you have the ability to call in a video like challenge. I think that if logistically possible, I I find it being like, how is that bad for the sport? You know what I'm saying? How is that bad on the pro side? Now this is including a ton of ifs and a ton of like if it's possible, but if it is possible, if it was happening, if we're in a world where we can do those things, I understand it can take, time away, but like if you just have a little iPad there and you've got somebody who watches it and you're just looking at, oh, yep, all right, yeah, their foot did hit they did come through before it hit the chains. Yep, that's a foot fault. Like should only take a minute or two. All the other sports have them: baseball, basketball, football, soccer. I think has it. Hockey, like everyone has a video challenge review system. So if possible, I don't know. I think that would be a pretty good idea.
Yeah, but all those sports, it's like contained in, like, if you're doing a baseball game or football game, it's like an event contained in one area. Like, it's all like on this specific event. Everything is like centered around that. Disc golf, if you have a tournament going on, if you do it for the pros, and you have, and it's singles, and you have a full like tournament, and it's like 120 people or whatever, and you have like 16 cards or whatever, you need 16 different people going out with every single card. And if you're going to do it for
And
the
go out with
pro
every single
level,
card. I'm just saying have a camera at each hole and they just follow the card for that hole. So there would be 18
and then
for
so
each hole.
they go with them also for their upshot and then their putt.
Yeah, it would just be a camera that follows them the whole hole.
Is somebody holding the camera?
I don't know. This is a fantasy space we're in. I don't know. I'm
It's,
just saying if logistically, right, it was a thing, I think it would be good for the game because this kind of leads to the next submission we got. A way to have refs on the course so the cards don't have to call rule breaking. I think that's great. Maybe not every single hole, but I think every now and then there should be somebody like who's watching the card as the like ref because I think it's what sport do you have to be a competitor and an official at the same time? Like I
how does
just
golf? How do they do golf?
they've got someone out there watching.
Yeah, because I think that would just be an insane amount of like volunteers or staff or whatever. Because I don't know in golf how often you hear about the amount of tournaments that go on. So just for like regular people to do golf tournaments. But in disc golf, there's a tournament literally every single weekend, and there's multiple tournaments sometimes. And if you had to have refs for every card for every tournament, there would not be able to be enough
So I'm not
tournaments.
saying every single tournament. All these arguments that I'm making are on the pro side. On the am side, that's different, right?
But how can you regulate one level of players and not regulate the others?
Because it's easier to I mean like the pro tour, okay, let's say this. What's more important? The pro tour or a random C tier in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Sorry, Bartlesville.
But is it still sanctioned by PDGA?
That's a good
Like,
response.
does your
That's a good
ratings go
response.
up from it?
Um, I guess it's more feasible to do it on the pro side. It's too
Even
difficult to do it for every single tournament going on, or maybe you just have a because there's a staff to run a tournament. In order to run a tournament, you have to have a TD and like two or three folk who volunteer or it's their job or whatever to know the rules and let's say one is, the front like six or whatever, and the other is the middle six, and the other's the back six, and they're just kind of walking around watching cards, making sure no rules are being broken or anything, or maybe they're making calls on OB and things like that. I think that would be possible.
I don't think it would work. Even if you do only pros, the amount of tournaments that happen like every weekend across the nation, like that is an insane amount of people that would need to be on cards.
If you only do
And
pros, there's only one pro tour.
well, what about people that play in pros? Like the tour is its own thing, but
Yeah,
there's tournaments every single weekend that are pros, like pros are playing in. Like
yeah,
Paul Macbeth can stay home and play or in Virginia and play a tier in Virginia, and it's a pro tournament. Like he's still playing in the pro division, and it's a
yeah.
pro tournament.
I
So you
mean,
would still have to regulate it with the same refs. You can't
then
regulate a pro tour differently.
then that'll just take me back to the when you decide you're going to run a tournament, you have to have two or three other folk who are able to watch over. You have
Over
to
an
have
entire a field of pros.
yeah,
Now
that should not
sometimes
be that hard.
some cars like there's like 90 plus
Then
in
you
like
add a
pro
couple of
division.
more folk. I think it's
It
possible.
I don't think it would add enough for the amount of hassle and logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
What would the benefits be?
I The only thing I could think of is a stroke here and a stroke there. Like I don't
But
maybe nothing happens. Maybe
you're
all of
playing
that
with
work
your
and nothing happens.
competitors. Like you're playing with your competitors. I could see if it's something else where like it can be more like rigged, but like you're on a card with three other people that want you to lose. They don't want you to lose, but they want you to win, and they want if you're going to win, you need to do it correctly. Like
Mhm.
your own card isn't going to let you get by with breaking rules. If there's something that's obviously like you're doing wrong, like they're going to tell you because they're not going to let you win by cheating. And if you add a ref, it's one person, but then if the ref is, I guess there's more room for like corruption or something. Like if somebody wants to pay off a ref, that's one single person that can be paid off. Or if they're biased, if they're pro like Paul Macbeth or something, and they want to call football, it's like this is a huge problem in like football. Like
Whoa.
half of the time I watch football with people, it is hearing them complain about the calls that the refs make.
That
The
should put
rest of
that
the
to your
time,
unit.
that is like all football is to me. Every time I watch football with other people, it's like, oh, that ref is an idiot. Oh, that ref is that they're getting paid off by the other team. That
That's
is
all
like,
sports.
well, mainly all sports, but football is the worst. I
That's
swear.
because they're idiots over there, all right?
Yeah. And so you
Idiots.
want to add refs to like a card where they can be also idiots and they can like have their own perception of what a football is. Because everyone is going to
So
have a different idea of what a
okay, okay,
football or
okay.
out of
So
bounds.
I think there's a clear definition of what a football is, right? So the refs to in order to be a ref, you have to have some sort of qualification, gone through a class, just like all the just like literally all the players that we heard on our last episode, where they have to go through a class, pass a test,
Yeah.
whatever. And like other refs in football, baseball, whatever, you get training and like you have to understand the rules. So like you can't be like, oh nope, that wasn't a football. I didn't see it. I mean, I guess you could, but like if you do that, then no one's gonna have you be a ref anymore.
That's
Um,
literally football, though. Like, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think there's as much corruption. I don't. Okay, here's the
Not
thing.
even corruption, but just people being upset about the calls because the
Everyone's
refs are
going to be
making.
upset if your team doesn't get the call, you're mad. If your team gets the call, you're happy. So like apply that to anything. Like I'm never going to be happy when my team doesn't get the call. I'm always going to see it in my favor. I'm not it's not possible for me to see it in the other team's favor.
So you've never been like, dang, like that was the wrong call, like, and it benefited your team, but you're like, that was not the right call. Like, I totally get what you guys are saying.
Oh, I have. But I'm not going to
Because,
complain
yeah,
because
but
it
like,
worked out for me.
they all get the same training on being a ref, but then every single person is different. They all have their own idea of what the rules like. They all follow the same rules, but they all have different ideas of what they can be and what they're going to call. There's more conservative and more like open refs, and it would be no different in disc golf. And people would be like, "Oh, I hate playing with this ref. He's horrible." Or, "Oh,
Yeah.
I hate playing with this guy." As opposed to you play with your card is going to be different every single round you play, and they're all technically refs per like they're taking their tests and their qualifications. So like it's always going to be the same like set of rules, but it won't be like one specific person calling out on the rules.
So, okay, couple of things. First off, have you ever called anyone on a rules violation in a tournament or sanctioned league or anything like that?
I told them afterwards just
So
because
then, so if you told them afterwards, what good does that do in the round? You know what I'm saying?
because it was a 10-year-old kid.
I know, but I'm saying like let's assume it's not a 10-year-old kid. Let's assume it's like someone like me, right? Would you tell me in the middle of a round that I foot faulted? Would you
And an
call me?
official,
If it's a PDGA sanctioned tournament and I foot fault, are you calling me?
if I see it,
That's the issue. What if you're not paying attention? What if you're trying to not focus? What if you let's say you just made an awesome putt, right? You just hit this 50-footer, got a bird, you know, feeling good, you're going back to your bag or whatever, and I step up to putt and I football and you don't see it. Or let's say somebody else calls me, but you can't second it because you didn't see it. But if you have a ref there whose job is to watch what's going on, they will always see it. That's I
yeah,
guess
I
where
just
I'm coming from.
like I get it and it's a good idea, but I just don't think you could do it. You couldn't make it happen.
Yeah. I think just another thing is like I'm kind of like you, like I'm probably not going to call somebody on a rules violation because like I don't know, do you ever feel that like I don't want to be that guy? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to turn this from a fun event to a oh, I guess we've got Strickler Q over here or whatever. Like do you have any of that mindset when you're thinking or not thinking about calling someone?
Yeah, that and then also just the fact that like, oh, it was, like it was probably an accident, like it wasn't intentional. Now, if you have somebody doing it like every single
Yeah.
shot, then I'm like, no, that's crap. Like we're gonna call them out on it. But if
Yeah.
it's like, oh, they accidentally slipped or they did something, I feel like the person, like they're not gonna intentionally be cheating. There's no need to be like focusing on like seeing if they're gonna football, just watching them. Because then I feel like you're probably gonna get them at some point, just in a single round.
Yeah. Like okay, I don't want to stick on this topic too long, but I just am having fun exploring this. Like
Yeah,
let's
it's over.
say
Yeah.
what'd you say?
I said that's gone. Like we're on this topic now.
Yeah. Um so let's say I throw a drive. Let's say what is that hole? Do you remember at the keeper of the chains at Oak, where I went out of bounds like 3 times in a row? It's kind of like a peninsula before you get to the river. Is that like 10 or something like that?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 10.
Can you describe that hole for everyone listening? Because you'll be able to describe it better than I can. It's kind of
Yeah,
like a V almost.
yeah, yeah. So it's like a slice of pizza, and
Yeah, that's a good way.
the basket, they have it at long, and it's at the tip of the pizza on the far end, and so
Not the
at
crust.
the nope, on the sides of the pizza, it's out of bounds. So to the left, there's a road, and it's out of bounds, and to the right, equally like same distance, is a sidewalk, which is out of bounds, and those pretty much meet at the very top, and so behind the basket is out of bounds. So and the basket's just at the end, so it kind of closes up as you go towards the basket.
Yeah. So let's say I throw my drive like 100 feet or whatever, and then it goes straight out of bounds into the left road, right? And I go find where I thought it went out of bounds, and I'm like 25, 30, 50 feet further than what it really was. Like, do you say something? Or do you just be like, ah, yeah, that's fine?
Like in a legit tournament.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like if you try to cheat and put it farther than it was.
But like, what if I'm not trying to cheat? What if I just thought that's where it was? Like,
I mean,
I guess you can't ever tell if someone's trying to cheat.
that's where you ask everybody, and you're like, "Is this where you guys think I went out?" And if everybody agrees, then that's the consensus. That then you're taking the opinion of four people versus the opinion of one.
Yeah. So let's say I'm like, hey, I think this is where it went out, and then like the other two guys are like, ah, yeah, that's fine. Are you gonna be like, nah, dog, it's definitely 50 feet back?
And if it was actually 50 feet
Yeah.
back,
Oh yeah.
I guess I would say it's probably farther, or it was farther back,
Yeah.
and then you'd see what they say. But if they don't agree, then you have to go with like the
Yeah,
majority.
you have to go with a group consensus. Yeah, I was just wondering because I think there is a small dynamic where it's like the dynamic of the card, the vibe of the card. You don't want to like be known as the guy who's like all about the rules and like we'll call every little ticky tack thing. But also like trying to officiate the game is like difficult. So I don't know. I guess that's why I think like in certain cases I do see the argument of why there should be an official because if it's their job to watch what's going on in the hole, almost like you know how some spotters will literally like mark where the disc went out, like that maybe that's what the official does or I don't know whatever. I just think the idea of an official is not a bad one and in certain instances can definitely help.
Yeah, my big thing is you couldn't just do it just for like the top tier pros, at the top level. If you're going to do it for the pros, you have to do it for the pros and you have to do it for the AMs. Like the only difference between the AMs is like they don't want to play at the pro level, but it's the same. They're playing the same rules. They're playing the same game. If you're not going to have officials regulating the game of the tournaments for AMs, then they're playing an entirely different sport. They're not playing disc golf at that point if you have officials on the pro side.
Yep. Okay, so we've got a couple of more. So a couple of more. Yeah, that was good English. A couple more for you guys. I'll link these two together. The first one says more mainstream sponsors ready for this short to really boom. That's good. I agree. And then a big double cash sign for the athletes. So we've kind of talked a little bit on the show about getting sponsors in and more money into the sport, at least for those pro levels. But even at, local C, B, and A tiers, like the more added cash, obviously the better. League nights, the more cash in them, the better. I guess any thoughts that you want to add to those? I mean, like obviously that's good. It's just a matter of time when it happens.
Yeah, I don't think you can force it. I mean, to us and to people in the disc golf community, like deep, to us, it's like, why isn't there bigger sponsors? Like people love the sport. Like this is a great sport. There should be more sponsors. There should be more money. But that's because we are in the middle of this bubble. Like this is our world, and that's how we see it. But you go anywhere, like an entirely different group of people that you don't know, just outside of disc golf, people that have no idea what disc golf is, and you talk to them about it. To them, disc golf is nothing, and to them, you tell them that someone's making $20,000 from a tournament for playing disc golf, they're like, that's insane. Or that they have a $10 million contract for playing disc golf. They're like, no way, like you're lying, because like disc golf isn't that big. If it was that big, then the mainstream, the general population would be like, wow, like this, everybody would know about it, you know what I'm saying? Like they wouldn't be in disbelief when you tell them a disc golfer is making $10 million or you can make $20,000 from a tournament. They would be like, wow, like that's pretty cool. They wouldn't think it's you're making stuff up because it would be that big. And if it's that big, there would be big sponsors.
I think
So
something to keep in mind is that like the sponsors have to make money, right? They're not just going to throw $20,000 into a tournament if they're not expecting to get some sort of return on investment. right?
Yeah.
So like people don't sponsor things to throw their money away, light it on fire. They sponsor things hoping to make money. So like hopefully someday we are able to get sponsored. We are working on a sponsored video on YouTube right now. And the number one way to support our show and our brand is to help out our sponsors when they come, and especially when this video drops. So like that's something that I think everyone has to understand, is that companies are not going to just sponsor disc golf to light their money on fire. They're going to do it when it's smart investment and they're going to see a return on that investment. Just a thought. All right, let's
Yeah.
do
Just
go
real
ahead.
quick
Yeah.
before we move on, it's just, kind of a disadvantage with like disc golf. It's different because like the players in disc golf are also the consumers and the fans. Like the ones that go to the tournaments and watch the professionals, they're also players. And the ones that buy like the discs and the merch, they're players as well. It's not like, and that's like kind of the cap. There's other people, I'm guessing it's less than 1% of people that buy stuff or go to events that don't play disc golf. Football, when's the last time you played football?
Fourth grade.
Yeah. And probably 90, and it's opposite. Probably like 99% or like 90% of the people that watch football do not play football,
Yep.
but they go to the games, they watch TV, they buy the merch because everyone can enjoy it and it's different that way. And I feel like once disc golf becomes a sport like that, where people are just watching it for the enjoyment, that's when you will see big sponsors. But right now, the people playing it are the people buying it,
Yep. Because you also
and
have to
it's not
remember, like,
enough.
those people have to be marketable, right? So let's say Paul gets a $5 million Nike deal to wear Nike polos, right? So then, like, you and I would have to go to Dick's Sporting Goods and buy a Paul Macbeth Nike polo for it to be worth their while. Like, and like, is Joe Schmuck on the street gonna go buy a Paul Macbeth polo? I don't know. Probably not,
Yeah.
because he does, unless it looks cool and he's like, yeah, I'll rock that. I'm feeling
Or
good today. Yeah,
as a gift for someone, but not for themselves,
yeah.
right?
So it's almost like capped. So it almost has to find a way to be more marketable to more people, get more people into the sport. Then more sponsors will see it more attractively. That's kind of the
Yeah.
catch 22 here. All right, last one. Getting rid of the 2 meter rule. Marking your lie with a mini should be at the back of your disc. So these are two. So the first one is the 2 meter rule. I completely agree. I think that's stupid. And the second one is that instead of like marking your mini in front of your disc, it's at the back of your disc, which also does kind of make some sense. Like, I don't understand why we're putting it at the front of the disc when like we're standing, behind it, if that makes sense.
Because
Um,
that's the farthest it got. Like that's how far your disc got.
yeah.
If you put it on the back, you're losing distance. Like
But
your disc did make it that far.
so I guess so like your disc is there, but then you put your mini in front of it, so you didn't actually land there. You're now a mini ahead of where you landed.
You're not though, because you step behind your mini. Like it's literally a line. You're not getting the extra distance of the mini. The mini is on the front of the disc. It's touching. If you left your disc there and put the mini, they're touching, and you have to go off of the line where they're touching, where it's the front of the disc. You're not getting more distance.
So
It's
like
just the end.
two okay, let's picture this, right? There's two people. Person A, they don't put a mini down, and they just step up to their next lie where their disc is.
Do they flip it?
No, they
It's the
just
same thing. It's the same thing though.
no, they don't flip it. They just leave it as it is. And then the next person puts a mini down. Does the person who put a mini down now have more distance? Like, assume they went the exact same. The two discs are literally right next to each other. The person who puts a mini down, comparatively to the person who does nothing, will have a disc length advantage because they can now put their foot where that disc was, where the other person, their foot is behind that disc. I'm not saying I agree in that the mini should be placed behind. I'm just saying that's where I'm just showing the side of the argument.
It just doesn't make sense because like literally that's how far your disc got. Like it didn't get to the back of where it is. So then what do you call the excess from the back of the disc to the front? Like that's your entire disc. Like that's where it landed. So the farthest, if you were out measuring discs for like world records, why would you measure the back? You would measure how far the disc got, and the farthest the disc got is the front of it. Just like in like racing or like at a track, you're not going to measure who crossed the finish line like with the back of their foot. You're going to cross who crossed with the front of their foot first. Like that's what got there first.
Yeah. I mean, that's a logical argument that makes sense. Um, the only other thing that I can really see is like, I guess like you shouldn't like you should like because you always have to have your foot behind your lie behind the disc, so like you shouldn't be able to advance the disc and be stepping on what would have been your disc. Is I guess where I can
But
see
that's
where
what
this response is coming from.
But that's why there's the rules of like a footfall, and you have your mini, and technically you have to step in what would be a 8 by 12 paper because
Mm-hmm.
you're removing your disc. So you're basically stepping in what was your disc. You're just getting it out of the way so you don't have to step on your disc. Like that's the purpose of a mini, is so you don't have to step on your disc, but you get the distance, the true distance that you actually got.
Yeah. Also, at the end of the day, it's like a disc length. So, like, if a disc length really matters that much, like
When when it comes to putting, I definitely I flip my disc every
every
time.
time,
Yeah. It's like,
I don't.
what is it? What is it, like 6 inches?
So, okay. So, wow. So, you agree you get more distance by putting a mini down or flipping your disc, right? Because if you don't get more distance, if it doesn't matter, there's no reason to put it down.
But as as opposed to the argument of putting it behind, like that makes no sense. I'm not arguing that you do get more distance. Like you're getting the actual distance versus putting it behind. Like you legitimately, like you can't argue the fact that you don't get more distance because you
Yeah,
do.
no,
You
I
get the
agree. You
distance of your
get more
disc. Yeah.
distance. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anyways, I don't know. It just depends on when I put a mini down or not. Just depends if I'm feeling it. Like I would like to
Yeah.
think that I'm a good enough putter half the time that I don't need to put a mini down and get the extra distance, that I can just bang it home from where it is. And instead I'll put a mini down or flip the disc and like tournament preparation, like mentally getting, trying to do that every single time. But like sometimes I won't do it because like let's say I'm on the edge of the circle and tying this all the way back to the beginning. If I'm on the edge of the circle and I flip and I get the extra like foot or whatever it is, and now I'm inside the circle and I can't step butt, I'm not going to mark it there, and I'm going to mark it from where it's at, and I'm just going to take my nice easy step putt.
That's not how that works though. Like
That's like absolutely how it works. You
if your
can
disc
choose
is
whether or not to mark.
if your disc is inside the circle, like you're either inside the circle or you're not.
No,
You
no, no,
flipping
no,
it,
no, no.
you're
So let's say, okay, the circle's 33 feet, right? Let's say I'm at 34 or 33 and a half, right? If I,
so you're outside the circle.
yes, but if I flip the disc or put a mini down and now I'm at
You're,
33 feet, I can't do a step putt
you're
because
not at 33 feet though. You're
you
flipping the
are.
disc to get it out of the way, but you still have to putt from the where your disc landed. You're not closer.
So hold on. You got to pick one. Do you gain distance or do you not gain distance? Because 2 minutes ago you said by putting a mini down, you gain distance.
By putting a mini down or flipping your disc, you get the distance that you are allotted regardless.
We're
But
gonna have
if
to.
you're
I'm gonna have to go out in the field and like show you what I'm talking about because I'm not doing a good job of explaining it with my words. Because if you're on the edge of the circle and you put the mini down, you are marking your disc right there, right? Because when you put the mini down, you mark the disc.
yeah,
So if you're marking the disc and now because of where you marked it, it's inside the circle. Comparatively, if you don't mark it, your foot's behind it because your true distance or whatever, like your foot touching the disc, that's where the line is of how
I
far away
see.
you are from the basket.
I see what you're saying, but are we talking about like on a tournament, like on a professional tournament?
Yes. You don't have to mark your disc. You don't have to put a mini down.
Then in that case, like, I don't know why you wouldn't mark it.
For this reason
Because
exactly. Because if you mark it, then you're inside the circle, but if you don't mark it, you're outside and you can step putt.
but you're not forced to step putt.
No. I mean, like, if you want to step putt. So, like, for me, if I want to step putt at 34 feet and I don't mark it, I can do that. But if I mark it and I'm at 33, then I can't step putt anymore.
I guess. Yeah.
Exactly.
I guess why wouldn't you in that case?
Why would I not mark it?
Why yeah, like why wouldn't you
Yeah.
take the option that's going to give you the step putt?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I would take the option that would give me the step putt instead of marking it. Yeah. But that honestly wasn't even really what he was talking about. Man, we are so good at doing that. Just taking a topic and then just burrowing so far down in there that who even knows where we're at, but it's a good discussion, hopefully. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this discussion as well. I feel like we had some pretty good discussions, and I would love to hear your guys' opinion. Do you use a mini? Do you think it gives you an advantage? Do you call people out? I personally have never called anyone out. I don't think I've ever called a rules violation. I once in my head thought, I was like, damn, these guys really are foot faulting on 15-foot putters stepping in every time. But I didn't call it because I didn't want to be that guy. And then literally someone did call it on the card, and then they were made fun of the rest of the round. And so I didn't want that to be me. So maybe I just need to grow up a little bit. But I'm interested to hear. Have you guys ever experienced anything that we talked about in today's episode? Leave a like rating if you're watching on YouTube. We really do appreciate that. Like I said, we do have a sponsored video coming up here pretty quick. We're going to be reviewing the Discmania Astronaut. I love the disc. Can't wait to tell you guys more about it. We've got some fun interviews coming up here shortly. I just got done moving and settled into my new job, so hopefully my studio creation build will be underway here within the next couple of weeks, and then we might be able to actually do some episodes in person, so that'll be fun. But that's really all I got for you guys. We will talk to you guys next week. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let us know what your thoughts were on this episode, and can't wait to get back at you guys next week with some fun interviews.
See you guys.
Hey everyone, wanted to end this episode with announcing who won our recent giveaway. If you remember 2 episodes ago, we put out a message in the podcast saying, leave us a rating and review anywhere and screenshot it, DM us to us, and you'll be entered into the giveaway. We've got 2 winners. One person will win a disc of their choice. The other person is going to win 1 free merch item, either a shirt or a hat. You let me know. You'll be one of the very limited people with this, so you will be very special. So yeah, let's go ahead and announce those. The person who is winning the free disc is Shane from Oklahoma. Shane, if you are that person, that's the person who left us the review. Screenshot that review, DM it to us again on Instagram just to verify that it is you, and we will get all that set up for you. And then the other winner we've got is, I would want to make sure I've got it correct, Rev_DG. You are the winner of the free merch item. Again, just screenshot your review on Apple Podcasts and DM it to us here on Instagram at Chain Clankers, and we will get you all squared away. Thanks for listening to this episode, guys. We'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to the Chain Clankers podcast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chain Clankers, and hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to us from so you never miss another episode.